Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to AVI Voice interview program. And this week we will continue from our discussion from a last episode on Myanmar crisis under Laos ASEAN chairmanship. And we will continue the discussion with our guest speaker, Professor Dr. Desmond Molloy, who is an independent political analyst and a lecturer at the Panyasastra University of Cambodia. So, Professor, to continue our discussion, like you mentioned last week, that if the stakeholders in Myanmar themselves are not willing to and do not contribute directly to finding the solution, it will be difficult. And plus, since it's a chairmanship takeoff, Laos has been firmly in the camp that saw any more active involvement in the conflict as a violation of ASEAN norms of non-interference in the internal affairs of member states. And this ground indicated that it would therefore place automatic limits on what its new special envoy, particularly Mr. Alun Keo Kittikul, as appointed by Laos, could achieve in his role. So, to what extent do you think that Laos can unfold the challenges of a Myanmar crisis during this year?
Well, a mediator is not imposing any action upon the people it's mediating for against the belligerents. So Laos might be in a position to help to mediate the internal solution to the problem between the NUG and the SAC. Any movement forward that stops the killing would be positive progress. Any movement back towards the path to democracy would be a positive movement. And though Laos itself, a communist country, would not be fighting for democracy, perhaps a movement towards the 2008 constitution and towards the changes that were made in Myanmar in 2011 to move towards federal solutions could be part of the solution that Laos might mediate. And perhaps Laos's non-threatening position as far as the SAC is concerned may be a positive thing. This is the point I was making earlier. Laos's position in relation to China and the positions it has taken regarding the exclusion of the SAC from representation in ASEAN summits. This might give Laos an open door to mediate. And mediation is a non-threatening approach that does not involve interference. So from that point of view, there may be a positive outcome, particularly as China has changed its position somewhat, which must be of great concern to the Tatmadaw.
So, Professor, it is still skeptical that unifying stand and pursuing support from the other ASEAN member states, especially a superpower on Myanmar situation, is quite unforeseeable for Laos during this complex moment. So how would you think that the role of ASEAN member states and the great powers in the region and beyond could affect the role of Laos in consuming the existing mechanism to resolve the crisis of Myanmar?
Well, we have seen already from the perspective of the international community, the United Nations, the United States, that they have handed off this problem to ASEAN, to regional solutions. Now, Laos, in its position as chair of ASEAN, may be in a strong position because of its strong relationship with China. China still has major concerns. It has concerns in relation to the operation of its Belt and Road initiatives, particularly the gas and oil lines, and the start on the construction of a rail line running from Kunming to Chao Pyu, the deep sea port in Rakhine. This, of course, is strategically important in that it allows China to bypass the Straits of Malacca for its energy requirements or for other requirements. Laos's proximity to China may help it to make important changes. This is a very optimistic perspective. As I said, there was pessimism in relation to what Laos would do because of its proximity to China. But in light of China's current strategic ambiguity, that may well be a positive thing.
And last but not least, from your observation, what is your prospect towards Laos in her capacity as the ASEAN chair in 2024 in addressing the situation in Myanmar? And will there be any significant progress that you can think of out of chairmanship during this year?
Well, I'm actually more optimistic than most people would expect in relation to Laos's chairmanship of ASEAN, because of its proximity to China and because of what we've seen in relation to China's strategic ambiguity in the past 3 months. Now, the junta, the SAC, will want to stabilize that position and re-harden its relationship with China. So China has strong leverage on the SAC, and hopefully that will be reflected by Laos as chairmanship in its chairmanship of ASEAN. It seems that the best option for the junta to stabilize its relationship with its own citizens at the time when it's losing ground is through the ASEAN regional support. And Laos would seem like a positive actor from the perspective of the SAC and would possibly be given the opportunity to mediate. Now, we've seen Laos take a different approach to Indonesia by immediately appointing a strong senior diplomat as the special envoy for Myanmar. We saw that Indonesia said that they would not be allowing loud-hailer diplomacy, which was somewhat taking from Hun Sen's approaches to the SAC, to Min Aung Hlaing, by the virtue of the fact that he made public approaches. Laos has already made a public statement by appointing the special envoy. So I'm optimistic that we may see some change because China has taken a new approach of strategic ambiguity and is hedging its bets more obviously in relation to its relationship with the SAC, with Min Aung Hlaing.
Yes, and thank you so much, Professor, for the very insightful and comprehensive discussion on Myanmar crisis under Laos ASEAN Chairmanship. And ladies and gentlemen, our discussion has now come to an end, and I would like to once again sincerely appreciate Dr. Desmond Malloy for your valuable time and your always kind contribution to our program.
Thank you, and anytime.
Thank you so much, and have a nice day. Stay safe and see you again next week.